The Cubis Sisters from The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. The Cubis Sisters are, no lie, some of the best build-up in the Legend of Zelda series. Throughout the plays you must find 4 innocent girls that are playing the damsel in distress, only to find they're not as innocent as they seem. After the first couple of lies you'll probably catch on to it, but still, fighting 4 creatures at once must be something to brag about. Unfortunately, it's the only build-up that has the highest amount of points to this fight. Why? Well, when you fight them, one of the girls will fire a magic ball at you that you must bounce back to them, while the others try fanning out the lasers on the battleground. That's bad. These guys need to learn how to aim. When you hit the ball back, it'll bounce between them like pinball land, then they'll softball pitch it back to you. This would have got higher, and they're good bosses, but not exactly for the reasons we were looking for. Cue Ball from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. If you're thinking Big Octo, you're not far off, but no go celebrating yet. We've got quite a while before we reach him. Some foreshadowing. Cue Ball, like I swear if you remember him, is exploitable. First off, it'll chase you clockwise and counterwise around the room. The first instinct is to slap on your Pegasus boots to catch up to it faster than it catches you, then smack it in its exposed behind. Not a bad way to start. That's what I'd do if I was being chased by a bald snail too. Sometimes it will spontaneously turn around and chase you the other way, but that's the only variety I can brag about. On the exploit side, you can use Rock's Feather to jump over him and start doing immediate damage. The reason I'm not taking off points, Rock's Feather is pretty much the exploit meme in these Game Boy Zelda games. Be honest, you do it, I do it, we all do it. Mothula from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Just look at that design! And this is just a mini-boss. And you know what? This boss plays great as well. It'll try blasting around the room using some propulsion system. Don't ask me what it eats, I don't know. It'll try swooping down towards you and it'll start spawning little black fuzzy minion creatures to slow you down. Not a bad combo, and even if you destroy its wings, it'll still keep up the fight. I don't know about you, but I want one of these as a pet. Just that design, that's incredible. Lizalfos from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. This is like a combination from the Dark Lizalfos earlier and the Lizalfos from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. They'll attack the same, except they got fire. But now there's more room to move around in. It has a nice couple of more points on the environmental field from the Dark versions, but otherwise this is Dark Lizalfos Part 2. Gecko and Jelly from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Oh fun, the orange zebra frog is back. The first thing I have to say is that where does this thing get these toys to play with? But then again, if you haven't beaten the other temple since you've gone back in time, is this a sibling? Just watch my mind go. This gecko, not the gecko, will summon a bunch of organic jelly to do his bidding. After a bit of maze hunting, it'll start using the jelly on the offensive, mainly to try trapping you inside of it and pull a Chunky Kong on you from Donkey Kong 64. Trust me, it's painful to watch as you get the stuffing knocked out of you and you start soaring across the room. This boss has a lot of physics mechanics involved on the time to freeze the massive jelly. Once it clambers to the ceiling, you can freeze and break it off the ceiling. Then it'll break off the jelly like a chandelier and you're free to attack the gecko. So yes, best physics and definitely a boss to look forward to. As for how you want to see it in the perspective of this entire water temple, that's up to you. The Big Eye Plant from The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Now here's a unique boss. You have to guide the boat's path on the bottom screen on where you want the boat to go, while you fire at it with cannon fire. Here's the bad news for me. What can I say about this boss? If the dodging is done by itself and you're free to attack the eye, what's there left to say? Here's the awesome news for all of us. It's so unique and fun that no words can really sum up how cool this boss is. The Big Man Handler from The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords. Just wow. Before I get to the crazy chocolate stuffing inside, there's something you should know. This is the last entry from this 4 Swords. Yep, this is where we must wave goodbye to the first game out of 16 from our list. It had a few bosses, it fought well, but it is understandable since it's more of a short side adventure game. Well, this is a great finale for finishing off the game. Big Man Handler is so well put together for a multiplayer boss, it deserves to be up this high. While it twirls its petals around, you have to hit them with the right link, and then it does something a boss hardly does. It closes its petals, preventing you from getting to its weak points. While the closed petals are distracted with the link, a different link must go in and pull back the lever and crash it into the plant, stunning it to expose the weak point. It's still not done. There will be one more phase where all the links must slash it, and the explosive finish is the true bow that will finish off this great game. Lizalfos from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Oh great, another lizard. What are you going to talk about this time, novel writer? This isn't very creative. Just watch, it's worth it. There really is nothing to talk about in regard to what you've heard about the other Lizalfos. It's a Lizalfos from the Ocarina of Time that breathes fire. P.S. I may be silly, but I really am the type of person that doesn't hash out what you might know about things. In other words, I think you're cool and smart. Dark Link from The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. We have a problem. Depending on which games you played, you will either think this Dark Link is the weakest Link out of all the Dark Links, or if you haven't played Adventures of Link or Ocarina of Time, you'll probably think of this boss as okay. You see, in those two other games I mentioned, Dark Link had a lot of tools set up to make a terrific boss battle that will never be forgotten. A lot of pieces were put in just right. So you see, this is one of those moments where the party could crash on your expectations. It's a great boss, don't get me wrong. It'll fight you with spin attacks, shoot you with arrows, throw bombs at you, but this is probably the biggest example where a great art form in the Zelda series gets a smudge on it. This goes for me too. I can't watch this without being embarrassed. Oh, nostalgia. Why must you be a pain sometimes? Remember, this boss is still judged fairly without any nostalgia bias. This is just me speaking here, though it still does lose points because of expectations. Toops from The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. Wow. This is just me, but I personally find this boss's design so funny and off that I could come up with a top 5 joke list about it. Sorry, I can't look at this boss with a straight face. To start this fight, Toops will hurl objects down at Link until he reaches the summit, and then the real fight begins when he emerges from its bird bath. You must grab the spikes with your whip, brush its hair aside, and then hit it in the eye. It will then flop over onto the side of the basin where you can swipe it with your sword. Other than it retaliating with a few swipes after it gets back up, just brush its hair aside and rinse and repeat. You know, I was planning on using a different voice for this section earlier. I was going to say like, "Welcome to Hair Salon 101. Today we're going to be working with an exceptional customer today." Yeah, I didn't think it was funny either. Joala, the swamp version from The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. Good, this is one that will cause some interesting mayhem amongst teamwork. Let's roll right in. Joala is a cool boss because of how you need to coordinate yourselves. It's a ghost that will roam around the battlefield, but the only way you can hurt it is if you keep a nearby torch lit. That's a little tough because if you're a guy with a sword, chances are you want to use it, so good luck trying to tell a Link to stand still. Nah, I'm kidding. What really makes this boss entertaining is that every time you hit it, it will hog up the whole screen suddenly, possibly causing some jump scares for the first time. But the whole party with 4 Links, Joala, the little ghost he brings up, the 4 switches, the 4 torches, it will be one Halloween party you don't want to miss out on. Joala, the castle version from The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. In case you're wondering, this one shares traits from the swamp version, but has a different way to go about it. Instead of using a torch to be able to hit this Joala, you have to light them all at once. Anyone played Metal Gear Solid? Well, you won't be disappointed here. Avoiding the searchlight Joala uses, you must relight the torches, and if it sees you, it'll blow them out. Now this is interesting, but after you hit Joala, it will eat the group of Links, and you must damage this little critter in its stomach to properly damage it. I guess it's just hungry. Darn it, now I'm getting hungry. Is anyone else getting hungry? Onyx from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. Really? Is this a threat? Think about this. This is the main bad guy here. You've gone through about 8 dungeons, and the big weapon he has is a swinging ball of death you can easily avoid. Probably the 2 big points Onyx has is figuring out how to hurt him, at which none of your weapons will work except for a spin attack, so that will take a moment to figure out. The second thing is that halfway through the fight, Onyx will summon the captured Din to try taking the damage by using her as a shield. It will take a moment to realize that you need the Rod of Seasons to blow her away for a moment to expose Onyx. Yeah, you could mention the gusts of wind he uses and the rocks he brings down, but against an experienced Zelda player, you will bring this knight in heavy armor down to his knees pretty quick. Little do we know of what comes next, though. Baron, the first form from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. Wow, interesting way to line up the first forms from the main villains from the Oracle games, except Baron does them a little bit different. The problem in Baron's case is that she uses a moveset you're used to. resorting to flooding the room with small tiny balls you've been dodging for 2 bosses before this. About the 4 Shadowlings, you won't think twice about those guys. Overall, Varan would make an excellent boss in this form, but you can't pretend that old-fashioned tactics ever work in a boss battle. The Deku from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. This boss took a bit of research. What do people think about the clown makeup design? What about the difficulty? How fun is it? And finally, what about that music? Here's the notes I have. Many Zelda players find this boss awkward. The music is hardly found anywhere on YouTube and is not considered the best or the worst boss on the roster. Now how am I going to rank this? On this one I compared the notes down to the last detail with the previous entry and the next entry, and this seems about right in the middle of the list. Now the Deku is awkward, and it'll expose its own weak points that bosses would be ashamed of looking at. The little creatures on its back are a little fun to hit around, but in the end, it seems to be a boss everyone wants to forget about along with the rest of the water temple. The Big Octorok from The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. This boss helped me out a bit in sorting out the Deku because they're both strange, but this one is more fun. This one will violate your personal space like no tomorrow, but it's more like a corner of the mouse type of scenario, which is pretty neat. This boss will throw rocks at you, you must deflect back with your shield. It'll then freeze where you must light up its tail, causing some admittedly cool effects. The room will continue to freeze and melt over time, forcing you to switch tactics a bit. The finale to this fight is pretty cool. It'll turn out the lights where you must use your lantern to see, then the Big Octorok will flood a lot of rocks from the ceiling onto you. Definitely something to get used to, but this boss did great. The Mighty Darknuts from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Remember Darknut from number 182? Well, there are 2 of them. I thought hard, but the only 2 benefits is the nice ring of fire effects and that there are 2 Darknuts. Not a bad idea, definitely a confrontational fight, and you're fighting 2 of them. Not much else needs to be said. Magmanos from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. This one is either thrown onto 2 sides of the fence. You can find this a nice well put together mini boss, or you'll think that they should have done a little more with it. Either way, Magmanos is a great boss to fight. You can watch its progress in the lava below as it tries reaching up to you. You must get onto a platform, head up, then snatch a little water seed to throw onto the hand. The hand will then stiffen and you can damage it with either bombs or crack it open with your sword. As I said, it's short and sweet, the detail and satisfaction is pretty nice, and the rest I leave up to you, but this seems about the right spot to it. The Big Blimp from The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. This is a scene where some pirates will try overtaking the train while you have to protect someone. After you do this for a little while, a mini-boss named Big Blimp will appear and try cornering everyone to the right side of the train. Your job is to stop him before he reaches that far. While it is debatable that he is easy and predictable, it has a lot of endurance to keep up the fight, and occasionally the little minions will try slipping by to go for the defenseless one once again. Before you go on saying that all escort missions suck, at least he doesn't get in your way, and that's a plus for all. The Twilight Bloat from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. This thing reminds me of that caterpillar off of the bug's life if it was evil. Well, anyways, this bug is a fun one to fight. The music's great for the moment and it'll charge it both on air and through the water to hit Link, and trust me, you don't have a lot of space to move around properly. Even though it is repetitious, it is still somewhat entertaining to fight as you dodge its charges. Finally, after the bug is tuckered out, it'll lay on its back on the water for you to deliver the Super Mario Galaxy spin dash blow to it. The Big Blue Choo Choo from The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. Hey everyone! I bet you can't guess what the next entry is after this. I'll give you a hint. It's green. Because they're so darn similar, I'll talk about them both here. The Choo Choos are admittedly very weird creatures. The way they look, the way they move, the way they look like a retarded version of Wobbuffet from Pokemon, it's all there, and that's saying something with that last comment. With both Choo Choos, you have to suck out some of its body using a reef blower, with your gust jar, and after that it'll slowly lose its balance and fall on the floor for you to start hitting it. What makes this blue one lower than the green? Though it has electricity, it doesn't make a difference. You have more hearts and you fought this guy before. On top of that, we didn't need to see him again. The Big Green Choo Choo from The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. Virus from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Oh no, I have to say it. Here comes the hatred. Oh my gosh. Okay, as far as I've been able to tell as fairly as I can, I consider Virus the worst official 3D Zelda boss, and it's official because it drops a heart container. Everyone, please listen. We are not in the horrible bosses section of the list anymore. We are number 158, that's around halfway. Virus is not a terrible boss at all, but compared to the other bosses ahead of this one, it's the one that needed the most work. Virus will try whacking you with his chains when it gets up close and personal, but that's easy enough to avoid. All you have to do is whack it in the forehead with an arrow, put on your iron boots, and then pull the chain around his leg to bring him down to the ground, where you can start slashing his face up. As for what I said with more work, Virus needs to be faster, it needed more weapons, more variety, needed to be more satisfactory. Less repetitious, the list goes on. Here's the good news. This means the 3D Zelda dungeon bosses will start appearing more often now. Are you ready? Let's get into the big leagues now. Octagon from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. Octagon is an interesting boss because I've seen some Zelda players fight it at a distance with a seed shooter, and some will be brave enough to whack it when it tries firing at you. This means it's a threat. The fight with Octagon is fought both above water and below it. In the above stage, it'll twirl around to keep its exposed side away from you until it's ready to fire at you. Again, your choice on range on how you want to hurt it. In the underwater section where it thinks you're easy prey now that you're in its territory, will start chasing you down. Yee! Talk about hungry. Overall, excellent boss battle, both with the diverse ways to confront it and for it thinking you're fish food. We don't get that often. Plasmarine from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. This is another one of those, if you know how to beat it, it's easy type of bosses. It'll take a moment to root out this guy's weakness, at which at first it'll throw out these fireballs and try electrocuting you. All you're thinking about is get away from this guy. When you finally use the switch hook, you'll start to wonder why changing him between blue and red will make a difference, and then, oh, so that's how you hurt him. You have to make himself get hit by the opposite colored fireballs. This guy does get points because he takes a bit to figure out, and controls are slippery underwater, so you may nab you a few times. Also, because the controls are slippery, it may get tough to get the vantage points you want. Spiny Choo Choos from The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? Oh my gosh. What are you guys? What are... Well, ah! Get off me! Get off me! Ah! Hinx from The Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures. Don't underestimate these guys. They're fast and powerful. This is a rare boss that will rush your hearts to zero if you don't find cover quick. Considering there are 4 links around, this will cause pandemonium between friends asking you to help them, or you are keeping an eye on all of the Hinx at once. As I said, find cover and secrets around the area to restore hearts and don't rush in recklessly, because these guys can rush you or throw boulders at you that can cause one whole heart container of damage. Don't stoop to their level and become a Hinx yourself, or else you won't have a brain to be proud of after this battle. Besides, the whole point of Four Swords Adventures is to be better than your friends. Try surviving it alone if you have to if your friends are action junkies. Hey, bragging rights are nothing to be ashamed of in this game. The Ball and Chain Troopers from The Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures. Unlike the Hinx from the last entry, you have no choice but to rush in and hope to do some damage as these guys throw their weapons at you. But hey, you take less damage. It wouldn't be wise this time to let your friends take the hits while you sit back analyzing the whole thing. Because of the ice and extremely long range of these guys, this can get difficult, but it is fun to getting in there and hitting them. Part of it is luck to dodge the weapons, so dodge and aim well. By the way, if someone tries copying you from what you did to Hinx and sitting back to scout the situation, kill these guys to make him feel like a sore loser again for not helping. Ha, I love multiplayer games. The Helmaroc King from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. I want to remind you of the rules of a generalized list. I do not cater to anyone, including myself, and I use the facts on an overall basis. Just because you have a heavy attachment to a black box and say it's better and brighter than the yellow box, don't take offense if I say the yellow box is brighter. I'm just using facts, not personal attachments or nostalgia. This is a list for all Zelda fans in mind. The Helmaroc King, just like Virus, is a terrific boss and had an excellent build-up to it, but for all the build-up it's worth, the strategy is not well thought out. It'll trample here and there, fly up and try charging at Link, and then plummet its face at Link where it's exposed to Link's hammer. It's easy to predict, but hitting a bird that kidnapped your sister with a big hammer is really a huge satisfaction that you can get out of it. Vaati Reborn from The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. Do you guys want to know something really cool starting with this boss? There's nothing wrong with it. Yep, this boss and the 150 after it, they're all complete on all 12 judging points. Nothing missing from them, and the pieces are all set in straight for them to be very enjoyable boss battles. With that, there are only positive things to talk about from this entry on. With that, I suppose you're asking, why did Vaati Reborn barely make the cut at the 151st entry? It's a really memorable boss battle with great music, a great strategy involved, and it's the first form of a final boss. Well, that's because it's an easy boss to forget. No, take that as a compliment, because the two forms Vaati uses after this one are so memorable and stand out in such ways that this first version he uses is nothing. This is only a shell of what's to come. Vaati uses some eye creatures to circle around him, at which you have to defeat them to expose his weak point. Meanwhile, he'll create spells like a dark circle to trap Link in, shoot out little bits of fire that will burn Link's butt that he has to put out, and his eyes will conjure up lasers every once in a while. As I said, this is only the kiddie pool we're looking at.